Welcome to the Four Ps podcast. I am your host, Trunnis Goggins. I've almost forgot my name. The reason why, what I am talking about today is something um, very, very important. It is the foundation of society in many ways. It is marriage. And we're a couple days after Valentine, whatever, however you say it. I know that a lot of people say it's Valentine. It actually is Valentine Day, and it's named after the patron saint called Saint Valentine. Saint Valentine is known as the patron saint for lovers. He actually married couples against the Roman Emperor Claudius's rule, because back in the day, Roman soldiers under Claudius should not be married. And what Claudius thought is like, hey, if they're not married, they have nothing to go home to. So these soldiers will fight more. They'll be more aggressive, so to speak. So he banned Roman soldiers at the time from marrying. But Saint Valentine married. He was a Christian priest who married soldiers anyway in defiance of that. What happened to Saint Valentine is he got caught, like everybody does. He got caught, and so he was jailed by the Roman Empire, and he was sentenced to death. And the reason why, I mean, beyond the marriage, is the daughter of the Roman jailer actually fell. This is legend. I don't know if this is true or not, but sounds good. So we're going to go ahead and do that. The jailer, the daughter of the Roman jailer, fell in love with Saint Valentine, started visiting him, giving him cards or notes. That's where we get the Saint Valentine's Day cards and all those little things that we get, like I choose you and stuff like that. And so that's what happened. Now, we celebrate it on February 14th because that is the day that he was executed in Rome. And so that is what it is. Now, we are not talking about St. Valentine's Day, and we're not talking about Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day is over, and for many people, we forget about St. Valentine's Day anyway. I know that I'm not really good with holidays at all. I'm just not good with any of them. I'm not even good with my own birthday, but I am good with my grandkids' birthday. I'm good with my kids' birthday to a little bit lesser extent. But as far as like holidays and stuff like that, I'm not really cool with it. But the reason why I'm kind of tying in Saint Valentine with today's episode is we have a man on the program today. It's called Dares Olson. Dares Olson wrote the book of Love and Bubbles, and it is a book about marriage, believe it or not. It is a very good book. I've read it. It is a book that gives the Christian perspective of marriage. Now, he's been married for 39 years, so he has a little bit to say. And again, he's very realistic about marriage. And when we come back, we're going to talk about, we're not going to talk about St. Valentine. I can guarantee you we're not going to talk about that, but we are going to talk about marriage. And we're going to be talking to Dares Olson when we come back. We'll be right back.
Every story begins with a truth. Some stories are meant to inspire. Some are meant to heal. All deserve to be heard. At Veritas Publishing House, we bring truth to life through the written word. At Veritas, we guide authors from vision to visibility with purpose, planning, passion, and persistence. This is more than just publishing. It's legacy. Veritas Publishing House, publishing truth, inspiring purpose.
Welcome back to the 4 Ps podcast. Now, you know a lot about your host. You know your host has talked about this a lot. I have a lot of strong suits, but one of them I really messed up along the way, and it's marriage. I'm going to be very honest with you. I've been married multiple times, and it's in my book. It's just the way it is. But I wish I would have had a book that we're going to talk about today that's going to help us. Dares Olson. He's out of Minneapolis. You're from Minneapolis, right? Is it? close enough?
Minneapolis area.
Okay, Minneapolis area. It's funny because when you say Minneapolis, there's so many other like places that you could say the area, and the area is like 700 miles wide, it seems like. You know what I mean? It's like I'm from the Minneapolis area, but it's just like what part of this part it is. It's the weirdest metropolitan area. As a matter of fact, and I know that's not what we're talking about today, but Minneapolis, St. Paul. St. Paul is its own entire city. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. And actually, I'm north of St. Paul, closer to St. Paul than Minneapolis.
Okay. So Minneapolis and St. Paul, even though they kind of put them together, it's almost like Dallas-Fort Worth, right? They're two separate cities, but they're just built really close to each other.
That is why they're called the Twin Cities. It's Minneapolis, St. Paul, the Twin Cities. Yep.
There you go. There you go. All right. Well, thank you so much for that. I'm glad we've got that geography lesson, that lesson of municipality that we needed to have, and the fact that, again, like I said, you're from the Minneapolis area, but it is like super huge. You know what I mean? Welcome to the show. You are the author of the book of Love and Bubbles. I read the book. It is a great book. Like I said to the audience just now, I wish that was a book I would have had long time ago. But, you know, I learned the hard way. I should, you know, and that's how it goes. Welcome to the program. First thing I want to ask you about this book is what made you write the book?
That's a really good question. My heart has been troubled, if you will, almost broken over the years, as the divorce rate amongst those of us who are within the world of Christianity has continued to rise and rise. And even in the world of those who don't identify as Christians, so to speak, the divorce rate has just continued to climb and really get out of control, in my opinion. And it was breaking my heart, and I would go to God and talk to him about it, and I'm like, of course, pray for the situation that we have in our nation. And one day as I was complaining to him, which, you know, we shouldn't be doing anyway, but he told me, he said, I don't see you doing anything about it. And I'm like, well, I don't hear anybody calling me to come and preach and talk about it. And so he said, did you forget how to write? Well, at that moment, I decided I'm not going to win this argument, and the things that he had laid in my heart and has shown me over the 39 plus years of marriage through my own wife and mine relationship, that was the moment that I really just felt this urge, this drive inside my own heart. I need to write this down. I need to make this available to the people so that they can see and learn some of the things that God has shown me over all these years.
Mm-hmm. So now you've been married 39 years.
Yes, sir.
Is that what I got? Okay, it's 39 years you've been married. So a lot of people who are listening to this podcast right now are probably like, well, it must be easy. 39 years? I mean, come on, man. Dude, you're talking to somebody. I mean, seriously. I mean, so is it easy?
My wife and I have not had that fairy tale marriage relationship where we can both hold hands, skip through the house, sing happy songs, and have fluffy little woodland creatures come and bake delicious, tasty treats and sew beautiful clothes and just clean the house to a sparkle. As a matter of fact, a lot of the sparkling was coming from the fireworks we were shooting at each other. So we've been to that place, and we've been there more than once, where we were ready to walk. One more thing, and I'm out of here. I'm telling God, I'm like, God, I know you hate divorce, but you don't have to live with her. And one more little thing, look, I'll just divorce her now and get forgiveness later. We've been there, and we've been to the brink, is what I'm trying to say. But Holy Spirit has always brought us back. And the ventures to the edge and then back to strength again have really opened my eyes to a lot of things as I've opened my heart to allow Holy Spirit to show me what was involved in all of that. But to your point, to your question, no, it's not easy.
No, it's not easy. You know, and it's funny that you should say that. I think that marriages, and again, I mean, you have somebody, and I'm going to tell the audience right now, we have two people here. We have two men here, one that's been married 30 years collectively, and the other one that's been married 30 years, okay, or 39 years. And I say that funny. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm saying it because that's just the way it is. One thing that both people who have been divorced and people who have been strong and married and stayed married the whole time, it's this. It's somewhere down the line, you know, when we get married, the fairy tale does start. I mean, it does. In the very beginning, I mean, everybody can say it was so great the first. I mean, I think every marriage starts out like, oh, it was awesome the first couple of years, and all of a sudden it went downhill, went to hell, just like that, right? Some people will say it's over, I gotta go. And then some people, like Dares and his wife, he finds a way, they find a way, they pray over it and they go forward. What steps, and I don't want you to give out anything in the book, I want people to buy the book, but what should people that hit that rock, and again, it is very easy to divorce now. I mean, it's easier to divorce almost than it is to get married. What steps should people take to, yes, prayer is absolute, but what else?
Well, you know, I think, and I'm going to say this is the raw fact of it. First of all, we need to get a correct perspective on what marriage actually is. And the thing is, we forget this sometimes, but we know that if you've ever looked at anything or studying anything in Scripture, we see that this God that we talk about, this God that we serve, is a God of covenant. He is a God of covenant relationship, which goes deeper than just the relationship of a friend, deeper than the relationship of just simple, really good friends. It goes to the point where you literally commit your life to the other person in that covenant. And we see this displayed by God himself with a man named Abram in the first book of the Bible in Genesis chapter 16. He cut covenant with Abram. But we forget that the first covenant that happens in the Bible actually happens 2,000 plus years earlier, when God took Adam and made him into male and female. At that moment, covenant was created between man and woman. It is the oldest covenant on earth. And it is 100% built to be a lifelong commitment. And one of the reasons that we've seen such a fall away is because the way we define marriage has changed so much over the years to fit into what society would like us to believe or accept. Okay. But the truth is still the truth. Marriage is a covenant. It is a lifelong commitment, even to the point that a true covenant requires the mixing of blood. And when you look at the story of how God created Eve, he took a rib out of Adam. Notice there was bloodshed, right? The covenant that God cut with Abram, there was blood that was shed in the form of a lamb that was sacrificed on an altar. Every time you see this, it is that deep of a covenant that we are the mixing of blood. We are the mixing of who we are. I think a change of perspective back to the truth of how God created marriage to be is the place to start.
Do you think that change of perspective, and I'm going to say this, just because I really do think that this is one of the issues that we have, and I'm sorry, I had to bend down for a second. I have a space heater in my my studio, and I'm going to tell you, I had to turn it on just now. I'm It is still wintertime. It's sad to say, but anyway, what I was going to say is the way you just described marriage. You described the shedding of blood. You described the covenant. You go back to the first covenant where, honestly, you had to give a rib. Okay.
Yep.
Do you think, and I do know that the perspective of marriage has changed. Okay, so if you look at marriage, you have marriage in the Bible with the covenant of man and woman getting together to procreate, love, all that. Towards the Middle Ages, okay, marriage was a transaction. Okay, it was literally, in many cases, it was a financial transaction. All right, where if you marry, you weren't marrying. I mean, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of families that especially during the Middle Ages and in medieval times, and then even into the Renaissance and even into the 18th and 19th century in the United States of America, where marriage was an alliance, so to speak. You can look back at Ferdinand and Isabella when they took two kingdoms and brought them together to make Spain. I don't think they loved each other, if you want me to be honest with you, if you ever read that story. I think love was the furthest thing from both of them. But on the same note, it built an empire, so to speak. The Spanish, that's when the Spanish conquistadors and all that stuff happened during that marriage. Then you have... you even have marriages, if you read even in our United States history, you read about the Roosevelt marriage, you read about Eleanor and Franklin. That wasn't a marriage of love. That was a marriage of alliance. That was a marriage of power.
Right.
So now we have that. So we've gone away from that. Then now we're in the late 20th century into the 21st century. And now it's about all happy-go-lucky feelings. But once those happy-go-lucky feelings are gone and that oh my gosh, that infatuation, so to speak, is over, that's when divorces come. And I really do think that maybe, I loved what you said about the perspective of marriage. And it's led to more divorces because our perspective has changed. Do you think that not only how we act in a marriage, but how we approach the courtship, do you think we have to look at that differently now?
I'm absolutely convinced of it. When I raised my children, I taught them that and this is my opinion. I'm going to say I don't have any scientific evidence or testing or anything like that to back this up, but just in the observations that I've made in the few years of my life on this earth, dating the way that we do it here in the United States is nothing more than divorce practice. You are actually committing yourself into a love relationship with somebody, and when something doesn't work out quite the way that you think it should, you dump them and you go find another love relationship.
Wow.
And that's simply
okay.
that's simply not the way true love works. As a matter of fact, to supplement even what I mentioned before, the thing that is significant about the beginning of marriage and that covenant, when you look at when and where it happened, we see that this is God's original plan for filling the earth with his presence and with his power. It's through family. It's through that marriage covenant. And when we see and understand that not only is this just a relationship between people, because let's think about this. When Adam first saw Eve, is there any indication that this was love at first sight? Well, no, we don't have anything written like that. But You know what we do know? We know that Eve contained within herself everything that was just taken out of Adam. So what Adam didn't have, Eve did. What Eve did not have, Adam did. You see the transactional nature of that relationship right at the very beginning?
I do. Now, I'm going to say one more thing, and I'm not saying this to be any type of opponent or anything like that. And I'm not trying to say it. There are relationships right now that even in my circle of friends that I noticed that the person, and again, my wife, what she has, I don't have. And I appreciate that and I honor that and I'm very happy about that. But it took years, my friend, for me to, I am like literally like 5-6 years away from catching a Social Security check. So that's how long it took for me to do this. Actually, I'm 7 years away, but I had to count that. I was like 5, 6. That doesn't make sense. 7 years away from getting a Social Security check. But what I'm saying is, it took me a long time and cost me a lot of money and a lot of heartache to get to this point. I know that I see people who are jealous of those who have what you don't have, and vice versa. So there's almost like there's a contention in the marriage because, again, like you just described with Adam and Eve, everything that Eve had, Adam didn't. Everything that Adam had, Eve didn't. So they complemented each other. And that's the way it should be. But in some cases, it becomes a competition, not a complementing situation.
Right. Well, the whole idea is that we are supposed to complement each other. Mm-hmm. And even in relationships where the two appear to be identical, yet they're not. By the mere nature of the way men and women are in their natural way, in their natural language, in their natural conduct, so to speak, we are not the same.
No.
And when you look at it that way, you begin to see that love is actually a choice. I love this old Swedish proverb that says, "Those who wish to sing always find a song." And when it comes to marriage, it's exactly like that.
Wow.
Many times we're dealing with things with our spouse, and maybe it's very similar to what you just described, where we're supposed to complement each other, but instead we choose to be in competition. Well, guess what? If you have a heart to complement, you're going to find that song to sing.
Roger
right?
that.
It's where is your heart? What decisions are you making for your future, for your present? What decisions are you making for your relationship? Because love is a choice.
That is beautiful how that is a beautiful answer. And it was, and I was really trying to see, what you meant. Because again, marriage is such in the 20, we're the first quarter of the 21st century. As a matter of fact, we're out of the first quarter of the 21st century, to be honest with you. We're at the first year of the second quarter of the 21st century. Ugh, time's going by real fast. I'm sitting there, how many more quarters do I have left?
I hear you, brother.
I'm sorry. I'm like, wow, wait a minute now. Hold on. But anyway.
You need to bring that up.
I know. But when I thought about that, as I'll say, I was like, wow, we're in the back. We're literally, but in saying that, I love what you said. Love is a choice, and it is. It really is a choice. And that is a great thing to consider because, even in marriages, every single day you stay together, you choose to stay with that person. You chose to love them. And I think that, if you get up in the morning and your spouse is still laying next to you or your spouse is, doing whatever and helping you out still and all these other things, that was a choice that person made, and you should honor that choice. You should feel humbled and honored that choice is being made, and that is a great thing. But we also, we did, and I agree with you. When you made a vow, you made it in front of God, and I'm not saying that. Please, I've been married enough times. I'm serious. I don't want to sound like a hypocrite saying that. And I do realize that there are some things that we all answer to, and this is one of the things I have to answer to, and hopefully he, I don't know, I understand I have to answer to that one day. But I love what you said about the choice. Your book is called Of Love and Bubbles. It is available on Amazon. It's available at Barnes and Noble, and all these other things. It's been out for. It's a great read. I'm going to tell everybody it is a great read. I do know that you're going to be starting a book tour here real soon. I know you're going to start out in the Minneapolis area, so that's about what that's 4, 5, 6 different continents. As big as the Minneapolis area is. So it's going to be great to see you. For more information, you can get it in the notes, the podcast notes here. You can also, again, like I said, please get the book. Get the book. Read it. And what I love about this book, this is not a book by somebody who's saying, I did it all right and here you go. This is somebody who's done 39 years of marriage. There's a couple times he wanted to jump in front of the bus, and there's a couple times that his wife probably wanted to push him in front of that bus. But
Absolutely.
doesn't matter. They made it and they did it, and they're doing it still to this day, and they do want to share that message with you. Darius, thank you for being on the program. We'll be right back right after this.
Purpose isn't something you find once and forget. It's something you choose every single day. In 2026, how are you living with purpose? The 4Ps podcast invites you to write about the steps you're taking to pursue, sustain, or rediscover your purpose this year. Share the habits you're building, the mindset shifts you're making, the lessons that are shaping your direction. Your words could inspire thousands and be featured on the 4Ps podcast. One winner will receive a signed copy of the 4Ps of You, exclusive 4Ps gear, and official recognition across all 4P platforms. Write with clarity, write with courage, write with purpose. Because purpose isn't discovered once, it's reaffirmed daily.
Welcome back to the 4Ps podcast. You know what I forgot to tell you? Forgot to ask you, how did you like the new music? We now have some new theme music for the 4Ps podcast. I like changing it up a little bit. I know that you're supposed to keep, the theme song is your identity. I have not found the theme song of theme songs. I love the last one that we had. That was great. This one's a little bit more jazzy. I figure, I just had a book come out called Lessons from My Father, and my father was into funk and jazz. He promoted a lot of groups back in the day, and so I was just, as I was writing that book and as it came out, I just felt like, you know what, maybe we should go back to the funk and jazz a little bit. So it's got a lot of jazz to it. It's got a great beat. It's a great song. The song was written exclusively for the 4Ps podcast. So if you ever want to go out and buy it or anything else like that, you got to get it from here. And I may have the full version somewhere. I will download it or do something with it so you guys can get it if you want it. But it is a great song. Now, going back to our guest today, I hope you enjoyed that guest. If you know about me, I've been married a lot. Um, Not good at it. I wasn't. At least I hope I'm good at it now, but I wasn't. And there's a couple things. And I was sitting there thinking about this during the podcast. I didn't bring it up during the podcast during the interview, but I was thinking about this. Um, Go back to when you got your job, your job that you have right now. You were excited when you got the phone call and say you've been accepted to be a part of this organization, whatever organization it is. Go back to when you got it, maybe admitted into college, if you did go to college, and you got that acceptance letter and the excitement that you felt. You ran out and bought all these supplies and things like that. You did everything you had to do. Go back to the time you bought your car. How excited you were when you got behind the wheel of that car and you drove away. Things happen, you know. And the reason why I'm bringing back those, because I want you to think about that feeling. That dopamine comes up, you know, you get all excited, you know. Oh, this is so great. Think about all the conversations. If you're with your loved one right now, think about every time the phone rang and you saw that person was calling you, and you just lit up. You know, when you got a text, you got all excited. Now you get a text, you kind of like, God, what does she want now, or what does he want now, whatever. And even at your job, you know, you like, oh my God, I got to go to work. But remember that first day, how excited you were. The thing is that the excitement, the dopamine rush that you get, that wears off over time. Okay. And because that wears off over time, some people think, you know, like the BB King song, "The Thrill Is Gone" or something like that. It really isn't. What it is it's a different state, you know. You know, relationships mature, and you need to mature with that. Best thing you could do in any relationship is don't find someone that you're infatuated with. Find someone you actually connect with. Find someone you trust. Find someone where you're not physically attracted, but find someone where you're attracted here in your mind and you're attracted in your heart. Those are the people. Because I'm going to tell you right now, you know what? That girl may be fine, okay? But we age. You understand? So that dude may be the most handsome guy in the world, and that six pack turns into a keg real fast. It really does, you know. Things happen, things change, and that's what happens. I look back at pictures of me when I was younger. I was like, dang, you know. And now I was like, you know, we age, and that's what happens. And so if you are attracted to somebody because of outward appearance, or you're attracted to somebody because they have fun at the clubs or something like that, that's going to change. Not only is it going to change for the person you're with, it's going to change for you too. And so what you want to do whenever you're looking for a relationship, and I am speaking from experience because that is definitely where I'm coming from. When you find someone at that level, somewhere where you know I can actually grow together with this person, someone where you enjoy conversations with that person long after, you know, someone where you don't have time because you're out there you're trying to go out there and hustle and get what you have to get, you know, someone that when you get home and you want to sit back, relax, and talk to somebody, that's the person you want to be with. If you have find someone like that, I'm going to tell you, marriages last a long time, even when they get, you know, troubling. You know, that's what happens. Because what happens is when you think about, you know, could I really live without this person? And the answer is yes, then you don't need to be with that person at all. You know, even if you think about it hypothetically, could I be without this person? Oh, I can live without this person. The problem is when you find it difficult to live without this person. One day, I'm going to tell you, all marriages end. 100% of all marriages end, not unless, and even then they end. You know, unless they drive, unless you die like at the same time, okay, or something like that. All marriages end. You know, that's why they say till death do us part, because they know one day one of you guys are going to die first. Okay, they know that. All right, but the thing is can you live the rest of your life with that person? You know, can you do that? And if the answer is yes, or if you find it difficult to live without that person in the future, then that's the person you actually need to be with. That is absolutely the person you absolutely need to be with. And that's the thing. And that's just coming from me. And I'm talking from experience. And the reason why I'm talking about this experience is because the first couple times I did it, I didn't think about it that way. And that was horrible. And not only was it horrible for me, it was horrible for my now ex-spouse, and unfortunately, it was difficult for my children as well. And I'm just going to be honest with you. So when you're making a decision, you're not just making a decision to be with somebody for yourself. You're making a decision to be with somebody for someone else, and for some another generation in many cases, and for community. Because divorce actually, man, it is an economic strain. It really is. The only people who make money in divorce are the attorneys, are the divorce attorneys. Everybody else loses. Even the community loses, because you know it's just bad. Divorce is a bad thing, and I'm just saying, I'm speaking from experience. Next week, after I've got finished telling you all about that, Next week, we are going to have a phenomenal guest on our program. The guest that we're going to have on our program next week, when you hear his story, and when you hear what he has done and what he is doing, you are going to be amazed. His name is Andrew Walker. I'm not going to tell you anything. I can't tell you anything about his story, but I'm going to tell you, if there's anybody who is the epitome of perseverance and of persistence, it's this individual that we're going to have next week. His name is Andrew Walker. Again, I hope you enjoy the new theme song. Don't forget, we're down to the last couple of weeks. Make sure you turn in your "What Are You Doing for Purpose" contest entry, and we're gonna be announcing a winner March 1st, I believe it is, that week, the week of March 1st. You guys have a great one. Have a good one, and remember, always reach for your purpose. Talk to you later. Have a good one. Bye bye.